Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bears on Tap. Today is going to be the Minnesota Vikings preview. Week 18, crack them if you got them. I do not got them today, but Sunday will be a day to crack them and finally remiss that this season is over. Black Monday follows, and I think we all talked about it before we started the recording today. Regardless of who's out there on Sunday for either team, I think that this is a motivated team and a team that is ultimately going to win on Sunday. Because, Matt Nagy, if there's one thing that he's always going to be remembered for is beating the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions. So what better way to send off the bald fraud than to beat the Minnesota Vikings at their house? And our guy Ron will be there to see it. Ron, we'll start with you since you're going to the game. Initial thoughts going into this matchup.
Yeah, man, I'm fully prepared for the Justin Fields versus Kellen Mond quarterback matchup on Sunday. I think it's going to be great. There's no chance in hell that Kirk Cousins plays. If he does, I'm just going to hate everything because he's going to throw for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and they'll still win. So with that being said, I'm ready for a Mond Fields matchup, and I feel good about the Bears winning, man. I've been to 3 games this year, a preseason and 2 regular season. I have yet to see a win. I would like to see a win in person to close out this egregious 2021 season.
Ron is due like a baseball player trying to get out of the slump, and our slump buster is the Minnesota Vikings, and a combination because we get the combo QBs of Kellen Mond and Sean fucking Mannion. So thoughts and prayers, Joey, for you.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know why the Vikings insist on not seeing what they have with their potential options. Like they drafted Kellen Mond and then they insisted on starting Sean Mannion against the Packers, which that worked out really well for them. We'll see what happens though, like if Kirk Cousins is going to play or not. I mean, I think we talked about it before hopping on here that even if he plays, we probably expect them now with nothing on the line after Green Bay eliminated them from playoff contention that they're probably just going to be like, yeah, go ahead, second half or whatever, Kellen Mond, Sean Mannion, whoever, just go ahead and start playing quarterback. So I don't know. It's crazy, though. Like, this is the 6th year in a row for the Vikings that they're closing a season at home, or their last home game is against the Bears. So kind of always feels like we're playing them. Well, it has been 6 straight years that we've played them for their final home game of the season. But Fields is back. So, I mean, I don't know if I like that because I wanted him to just kind of rest up for next year, and it doesn't really matter at this point. But I'm excited because it gives us something to watch.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you have to be careful with them. You don't want to have too many designed runs, and then I think too, it's going to sound crazy coming from us, but there's like a code of conduct. Like this is 2 teams that have nothing to lose or nothing to play for. Really, they're just going to go out there and have fun. Maybe hit the over. Definitely hit the Bears money line, but I think like. I would hope, I'm going to knock on wood, that we don't see any injuries on either side because a lot of players on both these teams are playing their last game in this contract, looking for a new contract, stuff like that. And just as a fan of the game, you hate to see injuries, especially in the first year of week 18, because the old people that yell at clouds are instantly going to be like, oh, well, why is there a week 18? Those same people that are saying TJ Watt doesn't deserve his sack, if he gets the sack record despite not playing the whole season, are those same people that are going to bitch about injuries that are going to happen next week because it's the NFL. It is imminent. Like, people are going to get hurt. But I think for this game, like, similar to last week, let it rip on defense. Send a bunch of pressure. Lock up in man coverage. See what the corners have in those one-on-one battles. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, as well as Conklin, are all good measuring sticks to see where you're at from a coverage standpoint. Now, I'm not saying we're going to sit there and lock all those guys down because eventually, one of those guys is going to get loose on us. But another guy that I don't think we've talked about yet is Delvin Cook. With the injuries that he's had, I highly doubt that he ends up playing on Sunday, which Alexander Madison is no slouch, but he's just also not Delvin Cook. So, again, we're recording early in the week, so we don't really know what we're going to see on Sunday. But from our standpoint, I think not too much changes, unless you guys have any other thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think really the only two question marks for the Vikings are Cook and Cousins. I think that's it. I fully expect to see everybody else that is healthy. Like I expect to see Justin Jefferson. I expect to see those guys. Maybe Thielen. I know he's battling so many injuries too. Maybe that's a guy we don't see, but I agree with you otherwise. I feel like they're going to run their guys out there. And again, if it's Kellen Mond or I hope it's Sean Mannion at quarterback, to be entirely honest with you. If it is, I'm going to be enjoying lots of these in hopefully
Yeah.
Is that a
celebration.
Yingling, Ron?
But it is a Yingling.
Thought I saw it. That's
Ron's
beautiful.
drinking one of the Yin Yang twins.
Yeah, no. To your point though, Ron. I also think that I mean, we held Cousins. I know they were without Thielen, but with basically a JV squad out there in the secondary last time to 87 passing yards. So, like, yeah, you might get Thielen back, but you have Justin Jefferson, who it was like Thomas Graham's coming out party
Yeah.
the last time, and now you're going to have Jalen Johnson. You didn't have him the last time. You didn't have Eddie Jackson the last time. So, or Tayshaun Gibson at safety. So, I mean, now it's like there's no reason why, after just barely losing to this team. I know the score doesn't quite reflect how the game played out because that was the last minute touchdown to Horsted.
Don't talk about that. Don't say the score.
Yeah, you didn't get your extra point there. That's fucking shitty. But no, I mean, so it's just like you would think though this time around, like maybe you can do more when you're in their territory. I think they had 7 possessions where I think they got 1 field goal out of 7 possessions in their territory or something crazy like that, the first 7 possessions or something. And they also had 3 turnovers and a ton of penalties.
David Montgomery fumbled in the red zone in that game, and David Montgomery never fumbles. So that just goes to show what type of day that was. But this is a very meatballish take. Bear weather backfired on us that day. Like, it was a shit day out. Neither team was really able to pass the ball well. All that gets thrown out the window at US Bank Stadium. Ron's not sitting there, red as a cherry tomato, freezing his tits off, trying to drink just to stay warm. He's inside. And I think that will ultimately affect what type of game we see. We're not going to see a 17-3, no shot. Both these teams are going to score, it'll probably be a game that finishes in like the 40s or the 50s, to be honest. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's going to be like an exciting firework type game. But I think as the Bears players, like the Justin Fields of the world, the Darnell Mooney's, like similar to all the other teams that are dealing with this same scenario, there's certain times during the game you may have to make a business decision, because getting hurt at this point of the season is like the absolute last thing you want from anyone. Like, the roster man 1 all the way down to 53. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you, Bdon. It's going to be interesting. It really is. I'm excited to see what kind of game we get. I agree with you. I think it absolutely can be high scoring. And honestly, that's even with guys like Madison and even maybe Kellen Mond. Like, I think, there's gonna be that newness because they're not the normal starters, where they might get some plays.
It's be like a college bowl game, I think.
Yes, and actually, I'm kind of here for that. I'm not even.
Dude, let it be like the Rose Bowl. Let it be like the Rose Bowl, please.
Oh, unreal! Yeah, that would be incredible. Could you imagine 45-42 is the final score?
Yeah, I mean, just because we're not gonna get Bears football until next fall, obviously, and then we have no idea, 1, who our head coach is going to be, 2, if Ryan Pace is sticking around, and then 3, there's a lot of stuff that's up in the air on the roster, like we were talking about before we started. Eddie Goldman probably won't be back. Akeem Hicks probably won't be back. There's question marks about Danny Trevathan. Ron, I know you brought up the point that, what was it? The money that we stand to lose if we cut him it far outweighs actually cutting him. Like, you might as well just keep him. And then 2, Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's getting paid. Andy Dalton's getting that Bobby Bonilla money, bro, or Darryl Strawberry, whoever the dude on the Mets is that gets paid every year. That's the type of money that Andy Dalton's getting for the next 2 years, and it's absolute bullshit. But right now, with what we talked about a little bit in last week's episode, the more Matt Nagy news that has come out, the more names we're starting to hear in the running for the coach. And to be honest, we could say a name today, and that name will mean nothing in a week from now. So we're not going to get into all those names, but it is exciting to see that this is going to be a more well thought out coaching process. Because if you guys remember, when they hired Nagy, it was kind of like out of left field, and collectively, all of Chicago was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And we all had no idea who this guy was. That is the last thing that I want to see going into this coaching search. And one of the things that I do actually want to see is like Matt Nagy's speech, his final press.
I don't even want to see it.
I want to see it because I think, like, to be honest, Matt Nagy, as much as he doesn't play to this when he talks to the media, when he actually tries, he can be a pretty well-spoken guy. But a lot of times he just punts on it, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't open his mouth. So
I think he's always pretty well-spoken. It's just he doesn't want to say much. Like,
he speaks in circles.
He says the same things over and over again. Like you said, Ron, it's just in circles. It's like
be you.
We got to find the why. Well, that starts with me. Recently, that's been it lately. It starts with me. I know that, and I know that, and we're going to correct that, and I know that it starts with me. And well, if you know that, and if it starts with you, then basically you're just putting your head on a swivel. You're saying, go ahead and kick me to the curb because it starts with me, and this is all my fault, basically. Now that's what you're saying. I appreciate that he's taking accountability to a lot of this stuff. But, like, dude, his press conferences, yes, he's well-spoken. He's a good guy, but he's just, like, he runs in circles completely.
Ron may have heard this on last year's show, but last year's show, one of my main points was that Matt Nagy needed an accountability buddy. I don't remember what, like, Nickelodeon show that was from, but he had a hard time throughout his tenure here taking, accountability for what was happening on the field. And this Sunday, I think, like, you see, like, an emotional guy. Like, obviously he knows he's getting canned, but I think you see him, like we said before last week's game, going for it on 4th and shorts. Maybe a fake punt or a trick play or something, like stuff like that. And then, too, I think, like, on the defensive side of the ball, I think, Joey, if you just go back to the well one more time, I think Kirk Cousins or whoever's in at quarterback gives you your Bears defensive or special teams touchdown, because I think that's a very real possibility in this game. Like, I know you were very, very close to getting that last week, but this week, let's keep Justin Fields in the pocket. Let's see what we can get from him in a game where, let's go 50-50 on the backs. Like, there's no reason to just slam David Montgomery up the gut 28 times in this game. Give some carries to Herbert. Give some to Montgomery. Let Fields take, a couple runs. Nothing crazy. Get out of bounds or slide, for God's sake. Like, don't get creamed like he did in the Buffalo preseason game that we were at, Ron. Like, he got smoked in that game. And it's one of those games where you have that you live to fight another day mentality, and you just try and go out there and find a way to win a football game and go into the next season on a positive note. And I think, like, the way we're going streaking, we're on a 2-game winning streak. The Vikings have a lot of shit going on the same level as us. We talked about that a little before we started. Mike Zimmer, he's probably not coming back. Like, he is just about as big of an opportunity to get fired as Matt Nagy. And I don't know if you guys saw his press conference last week, but they actually, dude, Kellen Mond's not fucking playing. What are we talking about?
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
So his press conference, it was some reporter asked him if Kellen Mond was going to be playing or if you would like to see more of Kellen in practice or whatever. And he goes, "What are you talking about? I see Kellen every day. Why would I do that?" Like something like that. Yeah. And the thing that I noticed too when I went back and looked at the tape, bro, he's in a black turtleneck, no Vikings gear whatsoever on him. So if that doesn't look like a man that's about 1 foot out the door, if not 1.5, maybe 2, then I don't know what else does. But
He's 100% gone. The Wilfs, there was a report too this week that the Wilfs were meeting to discuss the future of the GM, Spielman,
Yeah.
and Zimmer. So it's like they're pretty much good as gone. When you hear reports,
I think they're both gone, and I think interestingly enough, I honestly don't even know what his name is, but the Raiders head coach, I think, is in a coach for his job game on Sunday Night Football. Because he's done a good job. Like, dude, the Raiders have been a shit show from top to bottom, on the field at times, off the field a lot more often than on the field. Well, they are pretty bad on the field too, but they keep winning football games, and they have a chance in a winner takes all or a tie takes all game if the Jaguars win. But yeah, I think like since we are a football podcast, so like, do you guys have any other interesting like huge storylines that you see in week what is it now 18 that you think should be talked about?
That is intriguing. I think the AFC East thing is getting a little like overlooked. I mean, it's literally the Patriots and the Bills essentially battling for it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
nobody's clinched yet.
I was going to say, let me look up who's playing who in the scenarios while you're talking.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one that should get some love because it's going to be really interesting. You got the Bills playing the Jets. Who, I mean, shit. Let's be honest. The Jets are the Jets. I'll
be betting Jets money line for the.
I was to say, even though they gave Tampa a run, but the Patriots are in Miami. Patriots have never historically played well in Miami. Like every year, Tom was due for a bad game when they went down to Miami, and I don't see Mac Jones being any better. Like, I think that's gonna get to them. Like this week could literally come down to the other two AFC East opponents being like, which one of us wants the other? Like, who do we want in? Because like one of them could just fall over and belly up and say, hey, like, uncle, you go win in the playoffs, or they could be like, hey, we're gonna fuck you over just as much as possible because we don't like you.
All right, Ron, are you ready for the chaos parlay? And this is
ready.
This is without adding the Raiders Chargers tie. No one actually bet this because this has no chance. But the chaos parlay is Jaguars money line against the Colts.
Love that. Reasonable, bro. The Colts haven't won. Colts haven't won, I think, in Jacksonville since like 2014. That's not even.
People don't forget, yeah. And then the Jets money line against the Bills, and then Dolphins money line against the Patriots.
Chaos.
Plus, hold on. What does that even say?
Plus 1,003,722.
Plus 19,662.
What the fuck? I mean. You might as well
sprinkle
for like $1, just like a lotto ticket. But
$5, whatever.
There
Could
is.
you imagine?
Dude? If I hit that would be insane. But
you can always hedge out of that too. Say you win. I don't know. Was there a late slate game on there that you had?
Or is it Dolphins?
Let's say that's the only one you got to wait for.
Okay, well, now that I have the book up, I will say this. There's something that we talked about.
Yeah, Miami is the late game.
For our bettors, if you are going to bet the Bears, grab your phone and do it right now because
they're both late games, by the way, for the AFC East.
They are?
Yeah.
That's perfect. So the Bears line, since we started talking into a microphone tonight and drinking beer about it, has moved a half point in the Bears' favor to 3.5 from 4. And I'm pretty sure it opened at like 5. So, I mean, one last ride. I almost gave up on Bears money line, and that's when we started going on a 2-game winning streak. So we're going streaking. It's at plus 155 right now. You may have to wait for Bet Rivers to unlock that profit boost. So any value lost can be regained with that profit boost on Bet Rivers. But for this game, like, it's a wild card game, so it's kind of hard to forecast what's going to happen. But Ron, offensively, like, what do you want to see throughout the course of this game in order for the Bears to win?
I want to see, and actually this is part of what I want to see here. Alat brought this up earlier. Is like I kind of want to see Nagy like unload the playbook, like get weird. Let's
About
let's
time.
just get weird. Like let's have fun with where's the Jakeem Grant reverse play again? Like I want the jet sweep Jakeem Grant or Demir Bird lining up as the running back on an angle route out of the backfield and taking it to the fucking house. Like I kind of want to see that weird shit. That's kind of what I want to see. But I think a lot of it needs to let Justin Fields get outside the pocket. Like do design rollouts, use play action. Holy hell, use play action. Legitimately, I can probably I can't even remember if the Bears use play action because I don't think they do. Use play action rollouts with Fields.
Dude, play action is such a underrated and just
Especially
great way to move the football.
Yeah.
Dude, because you got to
Especially
keep
when
a
you know you're
defense
gonna
honest.
right, and especially when Montgomery and Herbert are gonna get their yards. They'll
100%.
find a way. Especially
Well,
against
and then two on the play action, another person you have to worry about is Fields. Because when you're
Right.
rolling out and you're already doing the fake handoff, you're getting a couple extra steps. You're
Right.
in stride.
He can
And,
absolutely take off if he sees a window.
Exactly.
And it's absolutely worth just doing. And again, if Fields just work on it this week with him, run it a lot in practice and say, all right, Justin, you roll out, you got your maybe he's not making 4 reads on the rollout, but it's 2 reads and a check down.
Yeah.
Read 1, read 2, check it down. And even if the check down's not there, then homeboy just chuck the ball out of bounds.
Yeah. I just don't want him getting smoked.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
All I can see is his chin, him just getting hit underneath the chin by a helmet, just getting popped.
We're not exactly, but that's what we want to avoid. Right, that's what we want.
He needs to. That's also something that he needs to work on too.
Yeah.
Getting down.
You know what I also would like to see? A legitimate deep shot taking. Yeah. A legitimate, not like the Dalton misfire that Mooney miraculously somehow almost made a catch on. I mean, give me play action with fucking Justin just rearing back and cranking one downfield to Goodwin or somebody, or Mooney or anybody.
Just a fucking play action streak or a post or something.
Especially if early on the first drive,
dude, they never run anything deep, bro.
Oh, I know, but that's
everything is in front of the defense.
It's 4-yard curls. It's 4-yard curls. Bro, Matt Nagy does more curls in his playbook than the meatheads at the gym do on a regular basis.
Guys, we literally saw this towards the end of the game against Minnesota. Look how much better things got when they started to open it up because they had to. When they started opening up, I think the numbers were I want to say it was 8 for 11 or something. Fields was throwing the ball past, I think it was 15 or 20 yards.
He was the number 1 quarterback in the last draft class on air yards. So and one thing too,
his deep ball has been terrific. If you look at, just looking at numbers, it's been terrific this year.
The one thing too, and I'm glad you brought up the numbers, is people are going to say Fields' numbers suck, this, that, blah, 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 blah. He hasn't played well. And the thing is he's in a fucking training wheel offense. He is literally, you can probably count on both hands the amount of times that he has had legitimate shots down the field that weren't late game, you got no shot completing the scenarios. You know what I'm saying? Good play calls that you draw up a guy that gets him open and he makes maybe a double move or he somehow breaks open. You know what I'm saying? The thing with
there's 0 double moves almost.
Well, no, and the thing with Justin Fields so far this year is a lot of what he has done great has been on the improv, has been on the fly, has been when he rolls out of the pocket, has been not the shit that has been drawn up on the Waffle House menu by Matt Nagy. The backyard BS, as we would say. I feel in this game, like I said, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game either way. I think our defense has a little bit more than theirs, and that's why I ultimately think we win the game. But this is going to be a fun game to watch, and I feel like Alop said, Matt Nagy is going to let it fly. We're not going to be, the slightest bit tentative or non-aggressive in this game. They're going to go after it. Matt Nagy wants to win that game. Those players in that locker room, as much as we give Matt Nagy shit, probably want to send Matt Nagy off the right way. And it was Virginia's birthday this week too. So
on the day that
99 years old.
Wow.
on the day that that the rumors swirled again that Nagy was informed that he was let go, even though that he says that he wasn't. But
Some
of
it felt like
things just
Virginia's
time up
birthday
so
present.
nicely. Yeah, so
Yeah, it
nicely.
felt like her birthday present. It was sensational.
And Bdon, I want to agree with you about him opening up the playbook. My whole thing is the reason why I'm like kind of skeptical about it is because like he, even when we think that that's what he should do, like we've thought that pretty much all season, and he still has not done it. Like even when he's been in these situations where it's like you need to win this game, blah blah blah, and he just doesn't do it. So even though it's the last game,
No,
of the
I
season,
know.
it's like, are you gonna fucking do it? Like it's literally your last game now. Like
Joey, guess what? For one final week in our lives, we get to get up for the letdown. Shout out to our guy Johnny Nani, and we get to live through human insanity where we wake up and we think that we're going to get this from Matt Nagy, and you know what? We're not going to get any of it. It's probably going to be a shit show. The game's probably going to be 17-9. Who the fuck knows? But it's
I'm
all
holding
part-
out hope for the optimism, though. I'm going to stay optimistic like you. I'm
I
trying
am.
to get
No,
that
I
other
am.
side.
I know, but I totally respect that. But that has been the last 2.5 years of like having this podcast of like getting up, waking up on Sunday, waking up through, the days of the week that we do the show and thinking that something is going to change. And for whatever reason, I don't know when it was that I cracked and went actually insane about the Bears, but we have finally reached the final stop on the train, and that is in Minnetonka, Minnesota, wherever the fuck TD Bank Stadium or whatever the stadium's called, US Bank Stadium is at, and they can leave him on the goddamn tarmac there for as far as I'm concerned. Like it is what it is. But this last week, I think like a lot brings up a good point. I'm all in on the Alop Suckfest with that, where I think like Matt Nagy is coming in dual wielding needlers like it's Halo 2 and just dropping clips. He's going to try and put up 40, maybe a 50 burger. We can't do it. We're definitely not going to be able to do it. But Bears team total, take it at whatever number. If you're into alternate numbers and adjusting shit,
like Joey is.
Yeah, go up to like 31. 30.5 is the number that I would take it at. 30.5.
You're going for the plus money alternates. All right. You know what? Take the team total touchdowns over too.
Yeah. The Bears are going to try and two, we lost to them in the last game. So like we're the way further motivated team if you had to ask me. Like I don't think it's even close.
No, I agree with you though on that too, Bdon. Like I think he has to put, like, just to use something that's always said on this podcast, he has to put his meat on the table because he has to put that film out there to try to get another job. Like he's going to get another job somewhere, but it's like it could be the difference between Furman University or Presbyterian or like, a quarterback's coach.
Or the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yeah, somewhere, somewhere. But
dude, if he gets a job, all right, let's make a pact right now. If he gets a job in one of the developmental football leagues, we have to make a trip to one of his games. Like I'm talking the XFL, and the USFL are about to be back. If Matt Nagy goes back to arena, I am going to find him because I'll be going to arena football games. And then CFL, I don't know. I don't know if I could get up to Canada, but I gotta get
there. We'll find a way.
I gotta get a new passport because I got like a thick mullet in my passport. I don't think I'd make it across the border. But yeah, I think Ron's right. I think 1 year off is probably the best thing for him and his career. Get your thoughts right, get your playbook right, get your schemes right. Nagy versus Trestman in the CFL Grey Cup.
Hey,
Trestman would run him off the fucking field, dude.
You know who's looking for an offensive coordinator right now, I believe? The Illini.
Oh God!
Oh, stop it,
dude.
The enemy.
That's the perfect job for him.
Could you imagine how many 4-yard curls are going to be in that offense?
Oh my God. With that quarterback play, it'd be beautiful, though, for him. It's the perfect spot for him to be. Just get crushed by Ohio State, throw your stupid curl routes and drag routes all day, and just get absolutely murdered by my Hawkeyes or Wisconsin. I would just love to see it. Please go to Illinois. Sorry, Cody.
Iowa is not a state. They lost this last weekend. Both our teams rest in peace in their bowl games. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
And my NIU Huskies too, man. All of our teams lost. Ron's team's the only team still alive, the one that was doubted. But Ron's got a little blood money sprinkled on the boys from Bama, as we all do.
If Bama's a dog, dude, you got to take it.
Yeah.
Even if they spit in my face and lose, then I win either way. Because then
you're just like money, we can get that back.
I volunteer myself as tribute. I can't. Yeah, I can't. I can get money back. I can't get like emotional distraught.
Ron's a sacrificial lamb.
Thank you, Ron. Because you pretty much like just said what I was saying earlier when Bdon was calling me a fake Notre Dame fan, because that's what I was thinking. I'm going to bet on UNC, North Carolina tonight for this college basketball game, and if Notre Dame wins, I won't give a shit because I want them to win.
Yeah. Nah,
so
bro,
what happened?
Notre Dame won.
Notre Dame won. I lost my money.
And I literally bet Notre Dame once I saw Joey's pick. I'm like, let's go. Fade Joey. But and honestly, like, I'm a big Notre Dame football fan. I don't get too much into the basketball, but their team is like, they're honestly very I guess you would say reminiscent of the Bears in the sense that like they have good players, but they are so poorly coached that it's just like Jesus Christ. But no pun intended talking about my Fighting Irish with that one. But I feel on defense, like, dude, what haven't we seen in the last few weeks? The defensive touchdown is right on the horizon. I feel, with Robert Quinn seeing the performance that TJ Watt has put on, that's going to make him hungrier to go out there and get a sack or a sack and a half more. Gibson's been playing. Both Gibson and they're both Gibson, aren't they? With the P, pretty sure Travis and Tayshaun. So
yeah, they're Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson with the P. I just can't talk still like 4 days after the fact. Both of them have been balling, and I think like for this game, you just make sure that everyone gets back on the plane the same way and try to find a win within that realm of possibilities, and just get Matt Nagy up out of here and let's start this offseason, because I'm really excited for, even though we don't have a first-round draft pick, figuring out who the new Bears are going to be, because just like we talk about with the coaching process and with the stadium and all that stuff, the draft's very important moving forward, because we have good players already on the roster. The teams that are consistently in the playoffs and the teams that are consistently playing for Super Bowls and NFC and AFC championships are the teams that win the draft and win, not necessarily free agency, mostly the draft, but they also find quality players in free agency.
Yeah, I think the draft, I think, is even more important too, especially with the cap situation, and just the amount of dead money, and they have some outs that can make it a little better. Obviously, the cap just going up in general because the NFL has made so much money with fans being back, like that obviously helps too. But like they can't get too wild in free agency. Like there aren't going to be any like Robert Quinn level moves, I don't think, this year in free agency. It's going to be a lot of bargain bin guys, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but just the guys that like maybe on a really good team they're like a third receiver, for example, but maybe they're coming in here to be like a number 2 and like get a legitimate shot. Like it's going to be a lot of those guys.
The price on Michael Gallup just went down.
True,
unfortunately.
But like that's kind of where like I'm really kind of watching the draft, and like we talked about it very briefly before jumping on. Like to me, with the second and third round picks, like receiver and corner, it's receiver, corner, and offensive line have to be in consideration for those picks. Like that's
well,
what it
then
needs to be.
What about this though too? Because we talked about it before we started with like the potential for a guy like Trevathan to be gone. What do you think like drafting like an inside linebacker would be? And I'm not talking about like drafting like an Iggy type that we're just going to stick on special teams and never.
Right, no, like a legitimate, like somebody who's coming in to play real minutes. Yeah, I mean, I'd be open to it. I certainly think that's a possibility. I think it just depends, really, because it depends what they do in free agency. Like, because if they can find a decent corner in free agency to come in for decent money to be, I think what they hoped True Font was going to be originally. Like if they could find
fucking
that
cut him
kind
while
of
he's
guy,
at his dad's funeral. Like we are a shitbox organization, dude.
yeah. But like, yeah, really. But like, I think with like if they can find that level of guy for corner, then I think you can wait on corner and just be like, okay, it's a stopgap for 1 year. And then you could focus on like receiver and like inside linebacker or like a down lineman. We were just talking about the likeliness of Hicks and probably Goldman to be gone, two of your biggest key guys on that front three. Now all of a sudden, you're looking at Angelo Blackson, Mario Edwards, Bilal Nichols, and Tonga. As Joey likes to say, our Tonga truck.
A Tonga truck, yeah.
Like maybe they look to add there too. I mean, they have the late round picks, and if Pace is still around, we know he hits on late round picks. Maybe they find a receiver there, maybe they find a corner there. But I really think that receiver needs to be important, especially if you can get like Olave. I don't think he's going to be there in the second round, but like, could you imagine if Justin Fields got one of his favorite targets from college? Look at how that paid off for the Bengals. Bengals can take the number 1 seed in the AFC North in a pretty realistic situation, which I think, or number 1 in the AFC period, which I think is hilarious because everybody was like bitching at them for taking Jamar Chase and not a tackle to protect Burrow. Yet Burrow has some of the best numbers in the league. Oh, and on top of it, Jamar Chase is the runaway rookie of the year.
He just won so many people their fantasy matchups on Sunday too.
Oh, he was
he lost me one of mine.
He was a cheat code. He was a cheat code.
266 yards or some shit.
Disgusting.
Bro, they were 20 to 1 to win their division at the beginning of the year.
That would have been a nice bet to take if you did.
That's what gives me hope though too. Like you can just look at a team like the Bengals and say, okay,
we beat
look how
them,
much
bro. We beat the Bengals.
Yeah, we beat the Bengals
at pretty much full strength. Both teams were at full strength. It was that early in the season.
True. Week 2.
And that's the thing. Like, not to take anything away from the win, but I don't think they were playing as well as they were kind of hit and miss though for a lot of the season too. Because like a lot of weeks you'd think that they would win, they'd end up losing that game because
like the Niners game and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, you buy into their little bit of success the week before, and then they end up fucking you over somehow if you bet on them. But, I mean, that gives me hope, though, just looking at the Bengals and what they're able to do in such a short turnaround. You kind of thought they were a little bit of a disaster, but you knew that they had some weapons with, like, Burrow and the offense. If we can get some weapons on offense, we do have Fields. We do have Montgomery. We do have Herbert. We do have Mooney. We do have Kmet. So we add in 1 or 2 guys like Ron's saying about maybe Olave if he somehow makes it around in the second round or anybody. I mean, there's some other guys too. Like I was having a discussion with one of my buddies who writes for Primetime, but like he's a Bears fan too. And he was saying maybe Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't know. I mean, he's a slot guy. He's not the traditional, like he's not going to be the number 1 guy. He's not a number 1 or outside receiver type guy, but he's a playmaker. So maybe.
Give us Kevin Austin in like round 5, bro.
Yeah, being a Notre Dame guy too.
He's like 6'4", bro. He's like the same mold. He's the same mold as Allen Robinson, except faster. And
he can go up and get it. Like Robinson.
I'm not saying he's gonna come in and be like a fucking stud right away, but I'm saying like if you're looking for some day 3 value, maybe late day 2, that's a guy that you can get at the receiver position because there's a lot that needs to be addressed on the team, on the actual playing field, and then too, like in the front office and obviously the head coaching job. And then one thing that's going to be different too is like I know you may have talked about it a little bit already, Ron, but it's going to be a clean house situation. There's no coordinators or quality control coaches that are going to be. I mean, if there is, there will be like 1 or 2, not a lot. A lot more people will be packing their shit and leaving than will be staying. And that's, you feel for those guys and you feel bad for the people under Matt Nagy. But for Matt Nagy, he made his own bed. He's got to sleep in it. And he's got one more opportunity as the head coach of the Chicago Bears to go out there and win a football game. And for that, I will stand with Nagy for one final week, that bald, freezer-burned, 4-headed motherfucker. But for one more week, he's our coach, and we can be as mean as possible to him. And then after this week, we don't even have to think of his existence ever again.
Honestly, after this week, I will root for him because I feel bad that
Well, dude, you know
I
what's
don't
going to
think I feel
happen.
bad, but like
You know what's going to happen. Just like any other Chicago player that doesn't meet expectations when they come here to play, when they go somewhere else, they meet those expectations and probably exceed them. So,
it'll be Leonard Floyd, but as a coach.
yeah, which will drive us as a fan base insane. But sometimes the situation's not right. Sometimes you don't have the right players. Sometimes you don't have the right coordinators. This wasn't that. We wish him nothing but the best on the next opportunity. But for us Bears fans that live and die with each snap and watch these meaningless, quote unquote, meaningless games against the Giants and the Vikings and whoever else, like I'd like to see a good performance. I don't want to see us get rolled over again. And it's like, even if we lose like a close game late, some of the pain is alleviated to where it's just like, thank you, God. We got old Yellard in week 18, and now we don't have to watch the Bears for another 6 months. We can just transition over to the Bulls because the Blackhawks are fried as well. And we can start to build up hope and morale for our Chicago Cubs. And then too, like the draft. The draft is a very exciting time of the year. And free agency, even though, Ron, I know you said not going to be too crazy, just figuring out what's next will also help us build up that hope and morale for hopefully like a wild card spot or something, like a dog get a bone as a Bears fan next year.
Maybe it's possible. I mean, like you kind of noted earlier too about the Cincinnati turnaround. Like it's doable. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, and I think a lot of that is because of some of the cap issues. But even then, I think they have enough money to at least be interesting next year. A lot of it's going to come down to the head coaching hire and what they do in the front office. And once that gets settled, then I think, after free agency, I think we'll have a really good idea of where this team's going based on what they do in free agency. Like, do they really go out to address a need, or do they just bring in depth guys to like fill body spots on a roster? Like, are they aiming to be 4-12 or 4-13 next year? Or are they aiming to be, like you said, maybe 9-8 and, a 7th seed, playoff team? And it'll be fun. But I at least think, tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Sunday, I'm already thinking today's the weekend. I'm all messed up still. But like maybe, just maybe, if Fields goes out and has that like game, kind of like that Pittsburgh game that he had, where like you could just see like the glimpses. Like if we get that on Sunday, I think Bears fans roll into the offseason going, this team might not be perfect next year, but they're at least going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, Ron, for your sake, I hope we get that because you're going to be at the freaking game. So
it will.
Please, like, let's get that because I know you would love to see that, and you didn't quite get that at the last Monday night game.
Ron is due. Ron needs to hit 250 on the year.
I got a lot of 4-yard curl routes on that Monday night game against the Minnesota Vikings, and I was pissed.
Yeah, and you were also at that Cardinals game, so it's like you're atrocious. Like Bdon said, you are fucking due, my friend. You need to see a W, and I think it's going to happen. I don't know. Maybe I always think that's going to happen. I think we kind of all three of us probably think it's going to happen every week. Glass half full.
You're looking at 3 meatballs, just different flavors.
Exactly. Yeah, different flavors. I'm not quite sure they're going to open up the playbook, but I feel like they're going to win somehow. So it's like, I hope for your sake they do both because it'll be something fun to watch. You're in a nice weather area. You're not going to be out there freezing like
like the last 2 games I went to is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, no freezer burn on your forehead. Just it should be nice, and I think this is a game that we could win because, like, obviously we held them down, and they're probably going to throw for more yards.
Only 17 points.
Only 17 points, so they're probably going to get more points than that in this game. But like, look at, and I want to point out what Alap just said too. Ron is scouting in closed stadiums in preparation for Bears' move to Arlington Heights. Yeah, I mean, exactly.
It's time, bro. They need an indoor stadium. Like, it may sound.
I want to
need
not
a Super Bowl.
freeze.
Yeah,
need a Super Bowl in this area.
It may sound soft, but it's like, bro, for the sake of having that type of facility to where you could have Super Bowls and Final Fours and all that type of stuff.
And when was the last time fair weather actually helped the Bears?
Never.
The Rams
The
game.
Rams game. That's
2018. Whoop the fucking D.
3 years ago. Yeah.
I want to say like once against Kirk Cousins, but like other than that, we pretty much.
That was that same year. That was that same year too. Yeah, that was 18.
The same year. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the orange jerseys. Eddie Jackson taking it to the house game.
Well, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go bold predictions. We'll go players of the game, and then we'll go score prediction. But I'm gonna go for my bold prediction. I hope it is bettable because I would like to bet it, even if it's only like a $5 or a $10 bet. Eddie Jackson anytime touchdown.
I'm gonna tell you on that.
If I find it, if honestly, if worse comes to worse, no free ads, but I will request it from PointsBet because you can name a bet.
You can do that, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just be like, give me Eddie Jackson anytime, bro.
If they don't give it to you on PointsBet, like just respond to you, just tag them on Twitter and just see what they say.
Yeah.
They'll probably respond to that.
All right. And then, all right. So do you guys have any bold predictions for this week's game?
Justin Fields throws for over 300 yards on Sunday.
Has he done that yet this year?
I don't believe so.
I'm gonna check.
Once? Did he get 291 or something? I think he had
like 299, yeah, like 288 or something like that.
It was real close. I don't know if he got it quite. No, he had 285 one game.
He did.
Yeah, and I think
that was against. No, he had 291 against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 291 against Pittsburgh was the highest. He had 285 against Minnesota their last time out.
He had like 289 in the second half against Pittsburgh because he didn't do shit in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 285 against the Vikings the last time they saw him. I don't. It might sound bold on the surface, but 300 yards out of Justin Fields sounds really doable on Sunday.
ESPN matchup predictor has the Vikings as 66% chance of winning the game.
Gross.
Sorry, ESPN predictor.
You're wrong.
Yeah, you're gonna get this one wrong. So hopefully nobody's like making their bets based on ESPN's predictor model. Because that's fucking tanked right off the bat.
Yeah, the model.
Yeah, that model's fucking shot. That's not a bucket stats at on tap model.
Take your model and shove it. Post fat gifs of your head on Twitter and throw darts, baby.
Just Pinata farms your ass to fucking death.
2 points away. 2 points away from a plus 3,700 tonight.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking shitty. Alap says here, bold prediction: Nagy is fired right after the game. They don't want to wait till Monday. Maybe. I mean, just leave him there, like you said earlier.
Do the Antonio Brown thing. Just leave him there.
Send him up to Ron's seats. You can crack a cold one with Ron. Ron would probably like to have some words with him about not throwing the ball deep all season.
I want to ask him. I want to ask him about his offensive philosophy because I really need to know. And here comes
Ron grabs him like by the ear, like how.
Yeah, like here comes the football nerd in me. Is like. I want to understand, and this points to something that Alap mentioned earlier in the comments too. Alap, you'll appreciate this reference. I want to know why in your offense the 4-yard curl is so prominent, why you refuse to commit to the run, and on top of all of that, why when a receiver gets open any lengthy amount of yardage, usually over 15 yards, he's one of the last reads. Like why do you insist on the short passing game working so well? And is your brain still stuck in the Arena League? Because 5-yard curls would work in Arena football. Let's be honest.
I bet the Arena League even throws deeper than that.
They do.
Dude, they take bombs all game long. Yeah,
the whole game is
like
bombs.
Matchin in the Arena.
I remember vividly back in the day. My dad, him and I would always go to games because we had season tickets for 2 years with the Rush. I can't tell you how many times they would get the ball in the 5-yard line because I think that was a touchback in Arena League. If I remember correctly. They get the ball on the 5-yard line, and play number one was send the fucking slot receiver where they get the running start, and it's just a fucking streak route down the field, and the quarterback takes 3 steps and just lets it fly.
Dude, and that was when they could throw it off the net too, bro.
Yeah, hell yeah. You could chuck it off the net. That's how they did Hail Marys. You would just chuck it off the net.
Mind-blowing shit.
So sick, dude. I loved arena football. Arena football was absolute lunacy as football, and it's sensational. But I need to know because again, this is a man that was a very successful Arena League quarterback. I still remember Matt Nagy playing in the Arena League. I remember him with the Georgia Force. This is still very relevant. I remember him as quarterback. But why do you insist on the short passing game with nothing to supplement it? I can understand the short passing game working if you commit to the run and run play action. That absolutely can work. You can avoid taking shots downfield because you still have to keep the defense honest. Right now, you don't have to keep the defense honest. Like me, as somebody who is clueless on defensive football, like I could not call a defense to save my fucking life. I can't call a defense in Madden to save my life, for fuck's sake. Like how? Like I know what I'm running. I'm running man the whole game with two guys over the top because all you're gonna fucking do is throw 4-yard curls all day.
Yeah.
My DBs can keep up with your guys running 4-yard curls.
Just keep everything in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah, just keep it in front of you. And then God forbid they do take a fucking shot downfield. I got two free, fucking Range Rovers at safety back there who are gonna come and fucking snap the ball out of the air. Like, it's not hard. And that's what I would have reeling this all back in. That's the conversation I would be having with Nagy is why do you believe the short passing game without anything else to supplement the short passing game works?
I also believe, Ron, too, that the running game would be so much more successful if you actually opened it up more. And I don't know, I think we've brought that up, though. But, I mean, you're bringing guys up into the box. And even if you're not bringing guys up into the box, they know that you're keeping everything short. So they're coming up in general anyways, even if they're not playing up in the box,
no matter what.
Wind up in the box because they're expecting you to throw it short. So if you actually started to spread it out a little bit more and throw it a little bit deeper, Montgomery's probably rushing for over 100 yards every fucking week. Yeah. But he's not because it's so predictable that you can't even really run the ball as successfully as you could.
Yeah, and here's a lap backing up my point. Mooney was wide open on the second offensive play of the game in the end zone, and Dalton didn't see him because he was the last read.
Valid point.
Great point.
He didn't see him.
Boys, who do we got on each side of the ball, and then score predictions for key players and score predictions?
Joe, you want to lead it off?
Didn't really quite think about it. I guess defensively, you kind of already picked your guy, Bdon. I don't know if that was your guy or not, but I know you're taking him as like a prop if you can find it with Eddie Jackson. So I'll go ahead and say, I mean, Thomas Graham kind of had his breakout week against his team, but he didn't get really anything much for it. I think Thomas Graham is going to have an interception in this game. I think they're going to play him. They're going to start him. Thomas Graham, interception, defensive player of the game. That'll be my guy. I think it'll come in clutch. On the offensive side of the ball, and plus I think Jalen Johnson also playing will help Thomas Graham because then he'll probably get the better matchup between Justin Jefferson and Thielen. He'll probably just get Thielen, which isn't easy, but I think it'll help him. On the offensive side of the ball, it's kind of tough to say. I'm going to say this is the week where Allen Robinson scores a touchdown. Out of all of the fucking weeks, it's the last game of the season, and what better way than for him to show out for his next fucking contract wherever it is, wherever he's playing.
And he can't help you in your fantasy league either.
Exactly. Because so many people drafted him thinking he's a lock there in the third round or whatever round you took him, fourth round. I can't remember even where I drafted him, but he was supposed to be that steady Eddie dude that just gets a bunch of PPR points.
Like there's a lot of personal feelings in your thoughts here, Joey.
There are many personal thoughts and feelings, not only with the Bears, but with the fantasy teams. Allen Robinson gets his touchdown because what better time than a pointless game against Minnesota for your last game of the season to finally come through clutch and have a big game. So Allen Robinson on the offense, Thomas Graham on the defense.
What do you got for the score, yeah?
Oh, score. What was the total at? Like 48 or something? 48 and a half?
I don't know.
Can't remember. I'm gonna say, like you guys were kind of mentioning a higher scoring game.
44 and a half.
44 and a half. Okay, damn. I thought it was a little bit higher actually. I'm definitely taking the over.
Yeah, 24-21 still brings home the bacon.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's gonna be. I think the Bears do put up. Kind of like what you said, Bdon. Did you give a score prediction yet or no?
Uh-huh.
I think you said 31 points at one point. I'm going to say the Bears put up 31 points. The Vikings put up 24. It'll be a one touchdown game. Bears cover the spread. Bears win the game. 31-24 score prediction.
With a team total of 20.5.
Yeah, take that over all day. 3 touchdowns is easy.
That it is. I want to share a lapse real quick before I get into mine. Offense, Matt Nagy, nothing to lose now. Defense, Roquan Smith, always leading the team in tackles every week. I agree. I think those are both good picks. I am not taking either one of those people. Defensively is where I'm going to start with my thoughts. We also got a score here, 36-22. Scoregami is what a lapse is here for Bears win. Yeah, I'm gonna have some fun with this one. He's just honest and he's got big nuts. I'm gonna go with Robert Quinn as my pick for defense. I think he's going for those 20 sacks to get into that elusive 20 sack club. He needs to get there, and I think he can get there.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna roll with Robert Quinn as my defensive player. And my offensive player, this is easy. I'm going to take it. It's going to be Justin Fields. It has to be Justin Fields. It's always going to be Justin Fields. Justin Fields is going to fucking put his meat on the fucking table and fucking mushroom stamp the fucking Vikings and just make it happen. And he's going to make it happen. And my score prediction is a little bit of chaotic. I'm going to go 31-27 Bears.
The Bears.
Not Bears.
So, yeah, that's one thing we didn't talk about was Robert Quinn's quote. And he doesn't talk to the media a lot. But
when he does, he's electric.
Oh, that was amazing.
Said the only thing as a man that you have is your word and your pair of nuts. And he's like, I don't plan on losing either, or something like that. And the reporter after said, I have no further questions. So I thought that was a great moment. But one final note, and then I'll give my predictions and my players of the game. But Joey's guy, Hub, Mr. Hub Arkish, made the news this week with some Aaron Rodgers comments, and I don't know if was he like getting canceled now or what's the whole deal with that?
He released a apology. Fun
Yeah.
Was it on iPhone Notes?
Oh,
No.
it should have been. It was the actual article.
Wow, it's not official then.
Not official.
Dude, he needs to just stop because Aaron Rodgers, we might not like the guy, especially being Bears fans, whatever. Personally, I never really understand the obsession as far as to hate the guy because, he's the Packers quarterback that's dominated us, but, that's pretty much it. I don't really care for him off the field either, but, it's not like I have this disdain, hate for him as far as a person goes. But, when you take off the field stuff like what he was doing and putting it into football context or putting it into an MVP discussion, your opinion it's just irrelevant. So him apologizing now, that's great, but it's kind of ridiculous. It's also something that I kind of foresaw or I foreseed happening, because you have these voters and there are a lot of them are old heads. Let's just be honest. Hub is just this old dude who's covering the team still, and I don't even know if he knows what the fuck he's talking about at the time. Exactly. This is the same guy who said Justin Fields is worse than Andy Dalton right now as an option at quarterback for the Bears. So we can't take his word for basically anything. He's the only guy in Chicago that's saying this stuff. But at plus 500 with Tom Brady, you can make the argument that Tom Brady actually could be the MVP over Rodgers. That's legit on the field. Because if you look at DR compared to and DVOA, they're right there neck and neck. Brady leads him in DR, which is an advanced metric on Football Outsiders, which basically says he's more total value than Rodgers if he's leading that category for quarterbacks. But I just think when you take the off the field stuff, you just kind of lose your credibility a little bit, and Hub just needs to stop, man. I know he apologized and stuff, but it's just it's gotten to the point where, dude, you're just blasting your stupid opinion on the airwaves and just trying to lead people down a path that's just
I saw him on Pardon the Interruption. I saw him on a Pardon My Take clip. I saw his name everywhere, and the first person I thought of was you, Joey. Some said the quiet part out loud. Yeah,
because I just can't stand it. Yeah,
He's one of those guys in Chicago media that just says some dumb, outlandish shit, and people take it serious. But, that is one of the few things that he says that should be taken serious because it's an absolute crock of shit when it comes to voting for an MVP award. those two things don't go hand in hand. But on defense, as you guys said a little bit earlier, Eddie Jackson, I got him getting a pick six. He loves picking on the Vikings, and he wants a touchdown. He has been trying to get that touchdown for like the last 2 seasons, and it just keeps eluding him in the nastiest of ways. And I'm siding with Ron on my final two. I had 31-27 locked in a while back, and I got my Fields jersey on. I think you don't bring out Justin Fields for this game unless you're actually going to let him play football. You know, you don't bring him out to just have him stick it in Herbert and Montgomery's gut. You test some things out. You see what more he can do in this, even though the offense isn't sticking, but what more he can do in this league in a game that, you know, maybe we win, maybe we lose. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But the thing is that we need to see the most from Fields is progression on Sunday and see him be quicker in his reads and make better decisions with the football. And when he's running, get out of bounds or get down so he doesn't, you know, run into an opportunity where they're trying to take the football away from him. So a couple of those different things, but I'm with Ronnie on the 300 yards. I will be finding any and every Justin Fields prop and sprinkling some cheese on it. I'm hoping some of those will pop. I mean, Fields will eventually turn into what we saw in college, and that's my meat on the table, Bdon and Monopia to end the episode. I don't know why I said it, but it just kind of came out of my mouth. But like, eventually, he's gonna get to where we think he's gonna get. He may not get to where everyone in Chicago thinks he's going to get, but we're going to see these week in and week out performances where he's throwing 250, 300, having 50 on the ground, and 3 total touchdowns. And it's going to be a weekly occurrence. It's not going to be these outlier games where we get it like once or twice a season. It's going to be a more common regularity. But with that being said, do you guys have any wrap-up thoughts going into this matchup on Sunday?
A win would be nice. I just want to see one person. It doesn't matter. We don't have a first-round pick. People that get upset that they win on Sunday are a bunch of fucking jabronis because
that's why
literally, if we win, it hurts the Giants. It's better for us. We don't have a first-round pick. Our second-round pick's still going to be in the top fucking 10 anyway.
I think the Giants are the worst team in the NFL, like by far.
They're up there with the Jags and the Lions.
I don't even think the Jets are in that conversation anymore.
I honestly, I know the Lions' record is piss poor. That is like the hardest playing bad team I've ever seen.
You got the Jags. Hard. I think the Jags and the Giants are the 2 worst teams in the NFL.
I think if they get healthier though next year, I don't know. They could be a little bit better. I don't know.
I think I honestly think if the Lions can continue to build, like if they find guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown continually in the draft going forward,
a steal, yeah.
Like they can be good.
They'll be all
because
right.
Dan Campbell, like, bro, I'm not even a Lions fan, but like when I see his speeches on their fucking TikTok account, like I'm ready to run through a brick wall. Like I'm ready.
Man, Campbell don't fuck around.
Oh, dude, that dude makes me want to put my head through like a piece of cardboard. Just like he's awesome. I love it. It's fantastic. So, I can't even put them up there. Like, it's the Giants. The Giants are absolutely egregious, and the Jags are just a bigger fucking shit show than any other team I've ever seen in my entire life. So, a win would be nice. That's essentially my my closing thought here, boys.
Joey, for you?
Agree with what you said, Ron. I also, though, I guess final thoughts is just draft Justin Fields wherever he's being neglected next year in fantasy football. Because once you start seeing those games like Bdon was talking about with the 250 plus yards, the 300 yards, the 50 yards rushing per game, that's pretty good for fantasy. So I know it has nothing to do with Bears on tap and with Bears football, but it kind of does. So those are my final thoughts. Let's win a game, like Ron said. I think it's going to happen. I think maybe Matt Nagy, I'm holding out hope that maybe he does open up the playbook a little bit. I do think the defense steps up and plays pretty well here, even though they will give up some points, but I think the turnovers will probably come in handy. And let's send him out on a positive note, I guess.
Yeah, let's give the bald guy one last club dub. Let's find a way to win a football game on Sunday and 7-10 on the year ain't bad, all things considered. Considering the coach was 1 foot out the door at the beginning of the season, the injuries, the COVID, not really knowing what our offense was, and then the defense, falling victim to the shit show that our offense was in certain spots, because we do have a good defense at the end of the day. But I think we've reached the end of this day. It's a little bit past midnight, but Ron's got a long weekend ahead of him. Me and Joey will be back on Sunday to recap the game, hopefully a Bears victory, and then we'll be on to the off-season coverage. Probably take a week or so off, obviously, because there's no games. But we'll be on to all eyes for us will be on the draft and the free agency and the head coaching search, because very important times. It's going to be like almost like game day, like for all these different days, where it's like we're trying to figure out who's going to be the next coach, who the next player is going to be, and all that. But we'll be here to cover it for you guys. And like I said, we'll be back on Sunday to recap a Bears victory in which Justin Fields puts his absolute lead on the table, goes for 300 yards, get an Eddie Jackson pick six, all that. If even one of those things happens, like Nostradamus, no one can tell any of us otherwise. But we'll be back, and Bdon.
Bdon.
Bdon.